What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Renegade Marquee on the Renegade Pop Culture Podcast Network. My name is Mike. I'll be your host for this evening. Joining me, as always, is the Streamin Demon, Jacob.
Hello, everybody.
And tonight we got a very weird episode. We've got reviews for Old, M. Night Shyamalan's latest, and the G.I. Joe origin film, Snake Eyes. But before we get to our feature presentation, we do have a couple extras to give a shout out to. I haven't actually seen this documentary that I want that I'm giving a shout out to. It's on HBO. It's about Woodstock '99. This is the 30th anniversary of the original Woodstock Festival. This took place kind of close to home for me. It was in Rome, upstate New York, and this is like a pretty much a documentary explaining everything that went wrong at that festival. Because I don't know if you remember hearing any news stories about it, but things got wild.
I have heard that, yes.
So if you're curious to find out like the whole story, then definitely check out that documentary. Now, Jacob, what did you have for your Renegade Extra?
Well, my Renegade Extra is an American-Norwegian documentary called Gunta. It is directed by Victor Kazakowski, and it's a very unique documentary. It definitely pushes the definition of that genre. It is literally an hour and a half of black and white footage of a mother pig, a sow, and her piglets. It also looks at the lives of cows and chickens on separate farms throughout Europe. And it is quite a unique film. It's all black and white. There's no narration and there's no background score. The sound is just the ambience of their respective farms. It's a very meditative, very artful, very contemplative. It's a movie that will not leave you the way it found you. I can guarantee that. Like, it does have somewhat of a vegan agenda, which may be a little inevitable. It's produced by Joaquin Phoenix, and if you remember his acceptance speech at the Oscars a couple years ago, last year, in fact, like he is a very staunch vegan. He's a very staunch animal rights supporter, and it's a remarkable film, Gunda. Like, even if you have no qualms against eating meat like I do, like I'm a meat eater personally, but even that, check it out because it makes you think, man. So check it out. It's on video on demand right now. It should be on Hulu relatively soon.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm gonna have to check this one out. So I guess that means it's time for our first feature, which was the number 2 film at the box office. We're talking about Snake Eyes. Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe origins. Supposedly, this is the first film in a reboot that Paramount is trying to get off the ground. Directed by Robert Schwenke from a screenplay written by Evan Spiliotopoulos, Joe Shrapnel, and Anna Waterhouse. Our story follows Henry Golding as the titular hero, Snake Eyes, who, after saving the life of Tommy, the heir apparent to the Arashikage, is welcomed into their clan, where he's taught the ways of the ninja warrior. But when secrets from his past are revealed, Snake Eyes' honor and allegiance will be tested, even if that means losing the trust of those closest to him. So, Jacob, your general thoughts on the film?
It's fine. I can't really decide if it's better than the first G.I. Joe movie because it does have, I think, more personality. Like it takes itself more seriously than the first two GI Joe movies. That this is a reboot of. Apparently, this is really supposed to like wipe the slate clean. But it's also like it doesn't have as much fun with itself as the first two either. So as summer blockbuster entertainment goes, it's not bad.
I mean, yeah, I'll admit I saw this movie in Dolby because lately I've been watching everything in Dolby. So, as like a, your standard par for the core action blockbuster, I got enough. I got enough from this movie to, to satisfy what I was looking for. But there are some aspects of this that are to be desired. I think ultimately what carries this movie are its two main stars. Henry Golding is probably one of the most charismatic leading men working today, and the dynamic that he has with Andrew Koji as Tommy or Storm Shadow, I thought that was really well done. Now, a lot of people have kind of criticized this movie for its overuse of shaky cam in the action scenes. Did you have any particular issues with that?
Not really. Like it did kind of have this visceral quality to it. Was there a lot of shaky cam in the last two GI Joe movies?
I'll be honest, I haven't seen those first two GI Joe films.
I have seen those movies because I didn't know if this was like a full on reboot or if it was just like a legit prequel. And even I couldn't really remember much of what happens in those two. Yeah, but I didn't think so. Like I thought it. I don't know. Like it. Like I was going to like earlier. It does kind of have this kind of grit to it that those movies didn't have, and I thought the shaky cam kind of adds to that.
I mean, yeah, I didn't have too much of a problem with it compared to most of my friends, especially those who are like hardcore action aficionados. I noticed it a little bit more in like the first half, but in the second half, things definitely got a lot better.
I had a grasp of what was going on, so that was okay for me.
I think that's like kind of the bare minimum for an action movie to establish the geography and to know like who like to know pretty much who is like in that fight.
Yeah, that's kind of shows you like if that's all an action scene can do, that's the best I can say about it. That means they're not particularly memorable, these action beats.
Now what about the story itself?
I thought there was enough interesting stuff with the clan that Snake Eyes finds himself a part of. I don't know, like I kind of like how they introduced certain characters like Hardmaster and Scarlet. Apparently, did I get this right? Did they say that her name is Scarlett O'Hara?
I believe that is the character.
Really? Yeah, I thought it kind of like I thought it was kind of interesting to see Snake Eyes kind of conflicted of whether he should kill the man who killed his father. And so I liked how like at first it looked like that he was joining the clan, but then turned out that he was actually working with Kenta the whole time because Kenta promised him that he would give him the man who killed his father. So yeah, it was. Yeah, like no, the story it did have its fair amount of cliches here and there. Like first of all, he practically goes into that cave in Empire Strikes Back at one point. like even when Tommy gave him that sword, I know it's better than a gun is what he said. I have expected him to say an elegant weapon, not as random as a gun.
What's funny about this about the story of this movie is that it's basically another Point Break ripoff.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah, I get what you mean.
Yeah, but it works because instead of surfing, you've got ninjas.
That checks out.
And who doesn't love a good ninja fight? Now, the part for me that gets a little bit too ridiculous is once Kenta actually has the the glowing MacGuffin
Yeah.
that the clan was trying to protect. That's when things go a little off the rails.
So how exactly did it go off the rails?
I mean, the fact that we're now introducing supernatural elements in a mostly grounded action film.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I take it the fact that you don't really remember is a sign of how unmemorable this movie is.
Yeah, I remember the jewel. Like it just didn't really affect me. Like I wasn't like, oh, like okay, he wants this jewel. Okay, sure, let's roll with it. Like I wasn't really like, why a jewel in this universe? That doesn't add up. And I know I was just kind of just along with the ride sometimes. I feel like you kind of just have to be for this type of movie.
I mean, yeah, that's kind of true.
Like you can't be really expecting too much originality from a flick that just wants to entertain you for like 2 hours.
Plus, in the history of the G.I. Joe franchise, they have crossed over, with the Transformers in various comics and other media. So this isn't too out of the ordinary.
Yeah, there was actually fans demand crossover with Transformers and G.I. Joe.
I mean, I want to see that at some point, if done right, that is.
Yeah, like, well, they're clearly Paramount's going in the right direction. Michael Bay's not directing these movies anymore, so at least the door's open for at least a good crossover. Because I can't imagine a good crossover occurring in the original Transformers run and the original G.I. Joe run.
Well, funny you should mention that. I think one of the earlier drafts of the Transformers movie from 2007, like there was an early draft where like the army that we see was supposed to be like characters from G.I. Joe.
Okay.
But I think they scrapped that pretty deep into production. Anything else of note that stands out in this movie?
Well, like I said, it does kind of have a grittier feel to it than the previous two. Like, would you say that worked in its favor or against it?
I'd say it works a little bit more in its favor.
Right.
Like I understand that the MCU has kind of popularized a particular tone in action movies where like there has to be like a certain amount of levity. And it's not to say this film doesn't have like any humor. It's just it's not as
there was that one funny gag when it was during the climax where Tommy he's finds some bad guys and he says, I could see you like a mile away, and then Blind Master comes out, he's hiding behind like a painting with rocks on it. He's like, he says something like, no, you didn't. Or whatever. I thought that was clever. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, see, moments like that are kind of fun when they sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Now since this is
go
ahead.
There was this one part that I did really like. It was when Snake Eyes was taking his first test and he had to take the water bowl away from his opponent, and he fails 3 times. And then he remembers, what Tommy told him about dignity, about, respect and whatever. And Tommy, he just politely asked to swap water bowls with him. And that's how he gets it. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Now go ahead.
Oh, what was I gonna say? Okay, so because this movie is um like it is very sequel baity to some extent. They really want this to be, you know, the start of a new franchise. I have to ask, would you, if say like tomorrow they announced a sequel, would you see this despite kind of a lukewarm reception to the first one?
I guess, like it really depends on what character they entered, or like if they even go on with the GI origins. Like I guess if they want to have a big GI Joe movie, I think it would be smart of them to like give each character their own movie, like EMCU did in Phase One, and like yeah, I it would just really kind of depend on what direction they take it. How about you?
Yeah, I would definitely see another one in this universe. And not even because I'm that big of a GI Joe fan. It's just I like some of the things that they set up in this movie. I've already said how much I love Henry Golding, and
Yeah.
I think he deserves to be he deserves to have been a big star like ages ago. So if somehow they do give him like another film in this universe, I will definitely be there opening weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope this does well for his sake. I hope that this does well at Paramount for his sake, because apparently he really likes this character.
Yeah, it's as long as he's happy and wants to come back for more, then yeah, I will be there for more. Any final thoughts before we move on to our next film?
It's a decent popcorn flick. It kind of reminded me of Mortal Kombat in a way, the movie that just came out, where the action scenes are fun, but it's not like life changing or anything. It's in a way it is in its own way it is better than the previous two G.I. Joe movies. If you just want to see some gritty action, if you just want to see some interesting philosophy and history behind this clan, and some good performances, you'll probably walk out of the theater satisfied with this one.
Yeah, I a lot of how I felt about this movie does bear a lot of similarities to Mortal Kombat. Both of them, I thought were a fun time at the theater, but definitely far from the best that they can be. Just within their own franchises.
Weirdly enough, what this kind of reminded me of like was Bloodshot, the Vin Diesel movie that came out last year. Where, yeah, I know it's nothing original, it's nothing groundbreaking, but I can't really bring myself to say it's a bad movie.
I still need to see Bloodshot. Maybe I'll do that one.
Check it out. See what you think.
But now we're moving on to, I think, the one that'll probably spark a more interesting discussion. M. Night Shyamalan's latest film, Old, which is based on the graphic novel Sandcastle by Pierre Oscar Levy and Frederick Peters. So in this movie, a family on a tropical holiday discovers that the secluded beach where they are staying is somehow causing them to age rapidly, reducing their entire lives into a single day. First of all, I need to ask your general impressions of Shyamalan just as a filmmaker.
I think he's a very good filmmaker, honestly. He has a style, and from what I've seen, like I did have a semi Shyamalan-a-thon before this. Like I checked out some I haven't seen, like The Village and Glass and The Visit, and I get what he's going with these movies. I really do. he has kind of compared his style to Alfred Hitchcock in a way, and with the way he photographs things, I can definitely see some Hitchcock in there. His dialogue is a little stilted. I think that's kind of like a trademark. I like that he's kind of embraced that at this point. That no one, like, his characters talk like no one actually talks, and he is a very decent. I don't think he deserved nearly as much hate as he did back in the late 2010s. I think it just was really uncalled for.
I agree. A lot looking back, a lot of the hate that has been thrown his way during pretty much a full decade from 2004 to 2015. Some of it might have been warranted. I won't begrudge anyone who didn't like Lady in the Water or The Last Airbender, but on the whole, I'd say even when he doesn't stick the landing, I think Shyamalan is a more interesting director than most than most of his contemporaries.
Yeah, the thing is, even if he does lay an egg sometimes, I'd be like, well, I don't really regret seeing that though, because it was at least unique enough,
Exactly.
It's well, I saw something unique, and it didn't quite stick the landing, but whatever.
Before we get to the movie itself, what's your favorite Shyamalan film, and what's your second least favorite if your least favorite is The Last Airbender?
My favorite, it's kind of a no-brainer answer, The Sixth Sense.
Okay.
Second least favorite, I actually think my least favorite, I have not seen The Last Airbender, but I have seen enough big stretches and enough reviews that have clips of them. The Last Airbender, its flaws are just so self-evident,
right.
Especially if you compare it to the show. I think Lady in the Water might actually be the worst, because most of Last Airbender's flaws were in comparison to the show. If it was a completely original movie, no one would have cared. It was oh, well, that sucked, and they just moved on from that. That was just a shitty attempt to start a franchise, whatever. But based on that show, it was just horrible. But Lady in the Water, because by default, practically, because of how he literally casts himself as this martyr whose work is going to change the world or whatever, and a movie critic literally gets eaten by a wolf creature. Snobby movie critic, who just looks down on everybody. He pays the price for that, which, come on.
Okay, yeah, I can understand exactly why that would be at the bottom of the list. Yeah. My favorite M. Night Shyamalan film has always been Unbreakable. And not just because it's Shyamalan taking on the superhero and comic book genre, although that is a big part of it. I just think it's probably one of his most interesting stories that he's told. Just from a philosophical standpoint.
Yeah.
And I think just the characters are all fascinating.
It has a lot on its mind about the art of comic books. It's essentially is a deconstruction of the medium.
Exactly. And this predated well, at least in terms of films, it predated The Dark Knight, it predated Watchmen, and it predated the DCEU.
Yeah, it's interesting where a guy is born with this invincibility, and it's a curse. That's interesting.
So
And I like when Samuel L. Jackson, like when he gave his own like insight into whatever was going on, like based on his knowledge of comic books.
And as far as my least favorite, it is hard to argue against Lady in the Water for, you know, the very self-absorbed nature of Shyamalan casting himself as the you know, the martyr writer,
Yeah,
who's going to save the world.
yeah, like that's kind of like Lady in the Water. It's one of the few movies that I can comfortably call pretentious.
Yeah, and this is probably one of the only examples where like there's like pretty much hard evidence to, yes, this is pretentious.
Yes. I just want to reach. I didn't really elaborate why I loved The Sixth Sense for much. I remember I watched it for the first time. I was watching it like in my mom's bedroom. She had it on her TV, and I watched clips of it. And what I got from those clips, like this palpable sense of dread, like it was like a horror movie that scared me, that got under my skin like no other horror movie did. You know, I get this idea, but like the dread that movie produces and how you feel so sorry for this kid, it's just it got to me. It really did. And I watched it later, and I was like, wow, this is actually brilliant.
I am due to give that one another look. I haven't seen it in quite a while.
Do it. It's his only movie to be nominated for Oscars for a reason.
Yep, that was the movie where that infamous quote where of Shyamalan is the next Steven Spielberg came from.
Yeah.
Now moving on to Old, though my general thoughts on this are, it's not necessarily the best or the worst Shyamalan, but it is definitely the most, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it does.
One thing I can appreciate is kind of like his last couple movies. This is on a very a relatively small budget of just 18 million, and
Yeah.
and pretty much shot in like, you know, barring like the opening and the ending, it's shot pretty much in one location.
Yeah.
Your general thoughts?
I liked it a lot. I gotta say, I had a good time with it. It was genuinely unnerving in some places. It was a very human drama. It lent itself a lot. Like these people who find themselves in this crazy situation, and although not all of their actions are believable, it had enough flavor to it. Like it had this kind of this humanity to it that I thought it worked. Like it wasn't just one gimmick that I liked.
Yeah, and I think that's what I loved about this movie too. It's a very high concept, pretty much ripped right from like the Twilight Zone. But what works about it is, you know, you really get a chance to like to go deep into the psyche of these characters, and like how they arrive at this this like tropical vacation is, you know, because of all their various medical conditions, like
Right.
Priska has the tumor that she's suffering from.
Yeah.
Charles, played by Rufus Sewell, who is who is like a fantastic character actor, has schizophrenia. The psychiatrist Patricia suffers from epilepsy. There's, you know, all of these different conditions are kind of like what what unite these you know, like the people who are on this vacation.
Yeah, they're very selectively chosen, and unfortunately, they bring their kids with them.
Yeah, it's funny. They say in the brochure, no kids allowed.
Yeah,
And it's like, gee, I wonder why.
right.
It's like the least subtle foreshadowing.
Right. Yeah, like, were there specific scenes that jumped out at you?
I think one that really stands out is a scene that takes place at night where the Kappa family is like,
Yeah,
you know, they're sitting together watching the stars go by, and then guy says like, why were we fighting again? You know, because time on this beach is you know, accelerated. They you know, they're starting to lose their memories, so it was just really nice to get at least one scene of them just kind of enjoying enjoying the present moment.
yeah, just kind of like embracing their fate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because like that they've realized that there is no way out of this situation. They try swimming, they try going through that cave, they try climbing off of it, and none of them work, unfortunately.
And yeah, that's another thing that really works about this. The up until the ending, which we'll get to in a minute. A lot of most of the runtime in this is like it's a really claustrophobic kind of like a very tense time bomb of a thriller where, you know, everyone on the beach, like they're all kind of kept in the dark of like what's going on, why can't we leave, and like that, just like that constant dread of both like the passage of time and just like the fear of the unknown is really, it looms large over, I'd say, the first 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah. There's something inherently kind of creepy about beaches. Like, I don't know, like just because like the water, and I don't know, like it's just a long stretch of sand, and you know, it's just you can't help but feel a little secluded when you're on a beach. Like no matter how crowded it is, no matter if it's like connected to like land or like there is something kind of inherently creepy about beaches.
And Shyamalan, to his credit, he kind of exploits a lot of that like inherent creepiness, especially with the cave that like when you go through it, everyone who goes through it blacks out.
You end up outside like unconscious.
I thought like the first time it happened was pretty unsettling.
There's another scene that kind of stood out to me. It was like when they're removing that woman's tumor, and like it just kept getting larger and larger inside her. That, and of course, like on the side, like if you get cut open, like so, like the scar just like the cut just kind of closes itself up again, and like there's this scar. And like there is that tension, like when the doctor's cutting open her stomach, and it just like he has to do it quickly, practically. Like he has to go like really deep, like into her skin.
You know, it's funny. I never thought like the closing of a wound would be more disturbing than the actual opening. but like that's
Love it.
it's man. When he's on a roll, when he's actually focused, Shyamalan is really good at like exploiting all of the tension in a scene.
By the way, you know how when Rufus Sewell, he kept asking what that movie was that Jack Nicholson and Marlon Brando made. I don't know,
Yeah.
you know what it is? What the movie's talking about?
I forget off the top of my head.
It's called The Missouri Breaks. It's a Western.
Oh yeah.
It's I don't know why he chose that specific movie though. Like
I know
from what I've seen,
it's so random.
yeah. Yeah. If you're ever curious, what he was referring to, then there's your answer. Another scene that got to me that genuinely like it really just shook me. It was like when that girl when she got like pregnant, like exceedingly pregnant, and when she delivers the baby, it just dies within a minute because it grew so fast that it was uncared for. Yeah.
Yeah, that was deeply disturbing.
Yeah, and though it doesn't really make sense though, like as soon as she sees that her kids have grown, like her reaction is, oh, that they're just reacting to something, or it's like on the speed, like, no, like what the hell causes that sort of like reaction, lady?
Oh, I'm not feeling well. I
and it doesn't even really make sense how the kids they don't really question like how like all of a sudden like they don't notice that they're taller and their voices are deeper now, and it doesn't, yeah, and they just kind of like they don't really, their reaction isn't, wait, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's certain things like that kind of that don't really make a lot of sense, but I guess in the moment it's easier to it's easier to suspend your disbelief when more focus is kind of put on like on building tension and sort of like establishing a certain mood. That's how like at least for me personally, some of the clunkier dialogue kind of gets a pass.
Yeah, like in the opening, like when the kid, like there was that when the girl was singing in like the car, and the mom told her, okay, just be quiet or whatever, and the kid says, okay, spontaneity has died in her. Like what kid talks like that?
Yeah, the dialogue is it gets very unnatural.
Like even in his best movies, it was like that part where Bruce Willis is celebrating with his wife his new plaque, and he says something, I don't know, like, and she says, you kind of sound like Dr. Seuss when you're drunk.
Nobody.
There are just so many examples of that sprinkled throughout his filmography. I'm not gonna go through all of them.
So are you ready to talk about the ending? Once we finally find out the answer of like what's going on with this beach, why time seems to move like exponentially fast.
Let's do it.
All right, just I'm reading Wikipedia just so I can keep track of everything. So it is revealed that the resort is a front for a research team conducting clinical trials of new medical drugs, with guests suffering from conditions being used as unwitting test subjects. Since the beach accelerates the lives of the guests, the researchers have been able to complete the drug's lifetime trials within a day. The researchers move forward with luring a new group to the beach. But okay, so this whole tropical vacation is basically a controlled experiment for this medical company. Yeah, that when I saw it, that I understood sort of what Shyamalan was going for, but that really didn't sit well with me the first time I saw this movie. What about you?
I don't know, like it gave them a reason why they were selecting these people, like it gave them more of a purpose than just, oh, let's just be dicks to these people, like or whatever. I didn't mind it personally. Like maybe I don't know. A part of me kind of would have preferred it if Shyamalan just had this be about this family, like these families who are trying to get closer together as this phenomenon is happening. But the twist didn't really ruin it for me.
I mean, it's not a deal breaker. It's just it's I guess it's like when you play Guitar Hero and you were doing like almost perfect, but then you missed the last note.
Yeah. Like, what exactly threw you off about the twist?
I can't really put my finger on it exactly. I think maybe just tonally it felt a little off. I don't know. It's hard to really explain. Maybe after like a couple of rewatches, my thoughts will be a little bit clearer. But on the whole, I still think this is a certainly a fascinating experience.
Yeah, I think that describes it to a T. Actually, it's a movie that really makes the most of its premise because it kind of like makes you kind of live this horror that all these people are feeling. Like another scene that stood out is like when that older sister, when she ages deteriorating and she's like in the cave, and she dies by like they keep like flashing like a it was like kind of like a lighter, and she didn't want them to see them, and somehow she kind of dies, like she twists into like this pretzel or whatever. It was freaky.
Yeah, she was like contorting in like so many so many different positions. I don't know how they pulled it off, but damn, I don't think I'll be able to get that image out of my head for a while.
Right. What do you think about Shyamalan's cameo in this?
It is certainly a cameo.
Yeah.
At this point, I've kind of just expected the Shyamalan cameo. It's just like,
yeah,
it's
his
one
way
of
of
those,
being Hitchcock.
yeah, just one of those things that's like very par for the course. Now, one thing we haven't talked about yet are the performances. We talked a little bit about Rufus Sewell, who as his schizophrenia gets worse, he becomes more he starts losing more of himself on the island, and I thought he just did a great job with that. The two standouts for me are definitely Alex Wolff as Trent, and then Thomasin McKenzie as his sister Maddox. I thought they did a really good job playing playing these two characters who mentally are still ages 6 and 11.
Yeah, that was kind of
But
that was another thing. How like these kids, like they kind of forced to have like all these thoughts, like these thoughts, they just don't know what to do with them. And also, I liked how it was disturbing to see them, like they have like wrinkles near the end, and like that threw me off because I'm so used to how Alex Wolff looks, and like just to see him like that, that kind of freaked me out.
I forget the actress who plays the daughter who gets pregnant. I thought she did a good job too.
Oh, Eliza Scanlon.
Yes. Pretty much all of these performances across the board were terrific.
That wasn't always the case of Shyamalan movies. I don't know, was like The Last Airbender though, was that the only real case of horrible acting in his movies? Or are there other examples?
I mean, The Happening had The Happening. Yeah, The Happening is kind of like the Happening's performances were so laughably stilted that Mark Wahlberg's what? No. has become like an eternal meme.
Yeah.
And then there's After Earth, where Will Smith is like
yeah, he only emotes when he's like, "Tonight, sit down."
And that's like the only time you ever hear him raise his voice.
That was the movie he turned down Django Unchained to be in.
Yep. Priorities.
Yeah. Oh man, Josh! I bet Josh gets a real kick out of that.
But I'd say to answer your question, ever since 2015 onward, with starting with The Visit, pretty much all of those movies have had significantly better performances. And I don't know exactly what changed with Shyamalan. Maybe it's because he's putting more faith in his actors, or he's just given them meatier material to work with.
Yeah, I all know that James McAvoy has got the meatiest of recently of his movies.
Yeah, because he had to play basically exactly 23 different characters.
That was freaky whenever he played the Beast and he was running an actual animal. How was he able to do that?
Must have had a lot of training with professionals.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say with Old, it's kind of like it's like this movie has the same sort of high concept as something like The Happening, but overall it's just a better made film.
Yeah, I would say that.
Anything else that we haven't discussed?
I loved the detail of when they're going to the beach and we see the vultures on this tree nearby. That's kind of showing they're anticipating what's going to happen to these people.
It is also a little bit creepy. Thinking about the opening and when the family first arrives at the hotel, that already as they come in, the greeter already knows exactly what kind of cocktail they would order.
Yeah.
All the little details like that are really kind of really unsettling when we don't have all the information.
I liked the kid who was giving them the other kids these coded messages. He was subtly trying to get to them, some crazy stuff's happening and they're like, you better leave right now.
Oh yeah, that kid was he's the real hero.
Yeah, they would never have thought of going on those coral reefs if he didn't tell them that. Because apparently they said that was a metal tube, but I don't really know how that explanation went. But apparently it worked, I guess.
Yeah, good job, kid. Any other final thoughts?
Old is a creepy it's a creepy engaging it's well acted. It's got a lot of the good things that you the ones that you want to see an M. Night Shyamalan movie for. they're in here, and even his bad stuff is in a way kind of welcome here. So, take it for what it is. If you're a fan of his work, I seriously doubt that you would go out of this unsatisfied.
I would say whether you're a fan of Shyamalan or not, there is there is a lot to take from this movie. It's a very fascinating high concept, with great performances, some gorgeous cinematography, a very disturbing atmosphere. It's one of those movies where if you are a fan of Shyamalan, there's a lot of both his best and his worst qualities that all work seamlessly enough together to create a very memorable experience. So definitely give this one a watch when you get the chance. Now, before we head out of here, next week is probably the one that I'm looking forward to the most. We are going to talk about Jungle Cruise, but our other film is David Lowery's The Green Knight.
David Lowery's The Green Knight. I love how I loved it when I saw that in the trailer. It's not The Green Knight, it's David Lowery's The Green Knight.
Yes.
And I know that I did say we were going to talk about Escape Room 2, and that didn't end up happening. I'm sorry, everybody. I promise I'll be a little more conservative with these predictions, but I can assure you next week, we are for sure. You can, I can trust you on that, right, Mike? We will talk about The Green Knight.
I would not miss this for the world.
Okay, good, because I was worried that we wouldn't be able to today, to talk about old. So yeah, that gives me relief. Okay. Escape Room 2, it wasn't that important of a movie, but this is what we're all waiting for.
And just to throw fans of that franchise a bone, I will say, I liked it. I'm not sure if I liked it as much as the first one, but it's one of those franchises, kind of like the Saw films, where I will be there for whatever is coming next. I'd call it the potato chip franchise. But yeah, that's kind of a wrap for this episode. Thank you, Jacob, as always, for joining me. And before we get out of here, where can everyone find you online?
You can find me on Facebook and Twitter, Joe Crable, KREHBIEL. I'm also part of the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group, and I have my own Letterboxd account, Streamin Demon.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at Captain K42. You can check out my quick thought reviews on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. You can find me in all the various Facebook groups just at my name. You can check out Renegade Pop Culture on Facebook and Twitter at Ren Pop Culture. You can also find us on Podchaser. You can listen to all of our old podcasts on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. And last but not least, everything can be found at renegadepopculture.com. Need an escape? So do we. That'll do it for this installment of Renegade Marquee. We will catch you guys later. Peace out.
See you, everybody.